A very good evening to everybody who's tuned in tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and being there just to support this wonderful channel. We call it the Connect. It has come to be a great channel that people are actually looking up to. The stories I'm hearing out there is just amazing that people are watching and benefiting from the things that we're putting out there, the content we're putting out there. And we just want to say thank you so much for everybody who's just been supporting us from the first day to till now, and we're still going. We just had taken a small break, but we're coming back with better stories, better content, just to educate you out there. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tonight we have a very good topic. Time now is 5 or 6 past 9, Australian East Standard Time. We're gonna celebrate our Father's Day tomorrow, and I thought, why not? Let's celebrate fathers. Let's just find out how should fathers be celebrated. And tonight, I want you on the comment section right there. If you want to say something to your dad, if you want to send a shout out, if you want to speak to someone, just let's chat. We're gonna look at your chats. We're gonna send the shout outs. We're gonna speak to people, and we're gonna start off. And tonight we just joined by this great humble servant of God, and I've come to really know Dr. Stephen from a personal perspective with the few engagements we'd had together. And just a brief, just to understand who our guest is tonight, I'm just going to read a small bio, but if you have interacted with him, you'll actually know that he is a great guy. He's a community leader. He's ready to serve, and he's always there when he's called upon. So Dr. Stephen Kamau is one of the dedicated community leaders in Melbourne. He studied and lived in UK for 3 years. He then returned to Kenya in 2004 and shortly after migrated to Australia. That's 2004. As a professional in 2006. He initially worked as an industrial chemist. I only saw chemistry, or only knew chemistry from my chemistry class in high school. But he initially worked industrial chemist for several years before shifting career to planning and scheduling. He's currently working as a consultant in the same field for the Australian government. He's been married for 26 years, and together with his wife Lydia, who I know personally, who is a very great lady, they have raised to now grown kids, a boy 17 years old and a girl 24. He's a dedicated father, a devoted Christian, and a man of integrity. Steve is talkative and jovial, as many of you would attest out there, humorous, and loves a good joke and a good laugh. And can I add, Steve loves chapati. And without further ado, I'm just honored and humbled to just welcome Steve to the show. And karibu sana, Steve. Karibu sana, Steve. So, Steve, this
Thank you.
journey of fatherhood, maybe after you say hello to our audience tonight, I just want us to understand who's a father and what is this
Mm.
thing called fatherhood. Karibu sana, Steve.
Asante, asante. Thank you so much, Peter. It's a great honor to be at your show tonight, and even to just be able to speak on a topic that I'm not only passionate about, but I'm already a father, and being a father, you have one or two things to talk about, who a father really is, and to answer your question, who is really a father and what is fatherhood. Um, I would say that a father is basically, if you like, the head of the family. And that's like an image there. The head being the one that controls everything in the body, every function. Whether you're walking or whether you're eating or whether you're screaming, whatever that you do, the head controls all those functions, and that's what I would say that a father is to a family. He's basically controlling literally everything that is every function within the family. I would say that a father is the head, and I will use another image as well. A father is actually also a pillar that supports the family. Those who are in the building industry, they know that those key pillars that hold the entire building together. And without those pillars, then the whole thing collapses. Or basically, if there are winds that are coming, it's those pillars that hold it together. So a father is a pillar to the family. And the last one that I want to use again as an image, I would say also that a father is a cornerstone of the family. And those who know, again, in the building industry, the cornerstone is basically your reference point. All the directions are basically they stem or they originate from that cornerstone. It's the place that you go to measure the distances from everywhere else. So he's the reference point. He's a cornerstone. And using those three images, if the father is the head, if he is the pillar, and if he is the cornerstone, I would therefore say that fatherhood is actually being those things, being the head, being the pillar, being the cornerstone. That to me is what fatherhood is. And that's what it has been, at least for me, from an experience perspective.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that
Yeah.
elaborate um, explanation right there. And someone would
Mm.
ask me, if someone who's watching out there, because this is a subject which is really, I don't know, is it the new time or the old time? But what are some
Mm.
of those roles or
Yeah.
responsibility that a father has? Maybe to elaborate to some people there, because it's a very big topic and a very big subject. So what are some of those
Yeah.
roles and responsibilities?
A very, very, very good question. What are the roles and the responsibilities of a father? Look, I would start off with what is known traditionally. Traditionally, it has always been known that the father is basically the provider. He's basically, provides food, and he provides shelter. But over time, that particular traditional description or role of a father, has been challenged, because when you're talking about food and when you talk about shelter, and when you got, a husband and wife, a father and a mother, they both work. They're both able to, to provide, for the food and for the shelter. It has been challenged, but traditionally, it is still relevant that a father is wired within to actually provide for his family. So I would still say that, a father, one of the key responsibilities is actually to provide for his family. I would say that a father is a protector. One of the key roles, is to protect the family. Again, that's quite traditional. The security, he assesses all the risks around, both within the family and without the family. So as a protector, one's the key. But there's one that I would like to add, and I think that this is the most critical one. A father's role is basically to love his family above all else. If you love your family as a father, everything else will fall in place. You will do all the protection, you will do all the provide all the food, you provide all the shelter. You will do everything else if you love your family. So there's no doubt that one of the key responsible and a role for a father is to actually to love his family, to love his wife, to love his children above all else. And one other one to add in there, he's one that holds the family together, because in a family, things can go wrong. There has to be that one person that will just make sure that everything is actually staying and holding in the one place. It's holding together, and a father does that. So look, there's a whole range of other roles, and one that is much more modern, and I think your audience might really maybe agree with this one. I actually consider a father to be like a project manager. The way a project manager, because that's a field that I work in, as a in my career right now. The Everything stops with the project manager. The bat stops with the project manager. He is the one. Every procurement, everything that's going to be bought, all the risks for the project, every from the start of the project, the stakeholder management, all the communication, everything that a project manager does, I would say without any doubt that a father is actually that to his family. Everything it revolves in a way around him. Of course, there are some shared responsibilities with the mother, but majority, he is like the lead. He's the lead project manager for the project that is the family. So those are some of the roles that come to mind as you ask the question: what are the roles and the responsibilities of a father?
Wow, what a big, huge role. But I think with grace, or with what we're gonna talk about next, because I don't want to allude to that question. But now
Yeah,
with such a huge responsibility, Steve,
yeah,
where does the
yeah.
father get the strength? to carry out such big roles. And there's a potential to actually fail because not all the fathers are perfect. So
Mm.
for you, what has been that thing that has been giving you that strength to be that project manager?
Oh, real good question there, and in full agreement with you, Peter, that it is possible to fail, and I think many fathers out there, one of the things that they really struggle with, they feel like they're failing. But, using that example of a project manager, for a project manager to lead a project successfully, one of the things that he has to do is that he has to apply himself to knowledge. He really has to understand and, put himself, get his head down and actually study and understand what the project is about, and actually get some help in terms of the theories of actually managing a project. And even if you translate that to a family, a father has indeed has to apply himself to knowledge. He has to apply himself to wisdom. He has to apply himself to understanding, so that actually he can understand the scope of what the family is actually about. And I would say that the one place that he can get this wisdom, he can get this knowledge, he can get this understanding is actually from God. And I would say, I am a believer, I'm a Christian myself, like you said in your intro, and therefore I do draw a lot from God's word. And it does say in Proverbs 2, in verse 6, that, the God is actually the source of all wisdom and of all knowledge. It comes from his mouth, it comes from him. And therefore, for a dad to succeed in this project, that is the family, that he's the leader, that he is the head, he has to apply himself to that knowledge and ask God for help. So I would say, first of all, that's where I have drawn my strength, from God. But I will also say that a father is already wired by God, created by God, and wired to actually head and to lead the family. God has already bequeathed that responsibility of the headship to the father, and therefore he's already wired. It's within his DNA. It's part of him. It's rubber stamped within his heart to actually do it, and therefore, because of that, he is therefore able to fulfill that role. He can get that strength. A lot of people, also to add, Peter, and I'm sure many, you guests, your listeners would also maybe agree with this one. There's a lot of many people that remember how their dads have actually led their own family, and they have, picked up a lot from actually their own fathers, or at least a father figure in their lives, and they are able to gain strength, and especially the ones that have done it well. And they say, if dad did it, I can actually do it. Even think about it, Pete, from Kenya, majority of our dads were polygamous. They had 3, 4, 5 wives. They had 30 children. They had 40 children, and they managed. And we have one. We have two. How can we fail? Do you know what I mean? So I think it is good to say that you just need to remember how your dad did it, and pick up some of these examples from that time, and you can see, yeah, if dad did it, I can actually do it. So gleaning from your dad, but also gleaning from those around you, I think it's also one of the way you can say that the father can get strength to fulfill his varied role.
I like the comparison and also the example because most people actually understand because if you look at how you do things, some of the things you actually learned through observing, not
Yeah,
really learning in class, you observe and actually that's affirms or tries to give you the way to go. Yeah,
absolutely.
and maybe
Yeah,
to twist it up a little bit, in the
yeah,
context now of a foreign country, in
yeah,
such a country now, an African
yeah,
man, an African father,
yeah,
how can he adjust maybe to
yeah,
just being a father in such a culture? Because most of us are from an African background. I know this this
yeah,
this is sometimes I like to twist things a little bit, but in an African context and coming to this
yeah,
country, how
yeah.
can you advise maybe a father to be able to adjust, to be able to father well in such a context in a foreign country?
Oh, oh, Peter, you have you have touched. This is a difficult one, and I think every dad that is out there is just shaking their head right now, who are watching or who are gonna watch this. It's like I don't know how to go about this, and it is challenging because it is a totally different culture. You have already said it there. It's a totally different culture. So I would say the first piece of advice, which I have had to take on board myself, is that a dad in this culture has to be acutely aware that the times have actually changed. What worked when you were growing up may not work now. Not that may not, it will not work now. You know, we came, like I said, from a culture where, a dad has about 30, 40 children. Some are grown, some are middle, and his word was final. There were no negotiations. I don't remember ever having a discussion. Dad says to do this, and then I go ahead and start, responding in a certain way. So times have actually changed, and we are living at a time when everyone is challenged to occupy their space, including our own children, and to be able to voice and to speak for themselves. So be acutely aware that times have changed. Be acutely aware as well that you are in a totally different environment. I did talk about kids are being trained to speak up. I'll give a very, very quick example here, Peter. I was in Canberra at some point during my career, 2 or 3 years ago, and I remember speaking to a mom, and we were just talking about parenting, and I was saying my son, who was maybe about 13 at that time, he was answering back in a way that I was feeling a bit, it's like he's a bit too forthright, and the mother is that mom was had an Aboriginal, half white child. So and she told me, Steve, it is okay to allow your child to actually speak up for himself, because if he does not occupy that space, someone else will occupy that space. And I said, wow, I just got that was a nugget I have carried with me, that allow be acutely aware you're in a different environment. Allow the kids to speak up, to occupy that space. Give them that room, even though, and it's a challenge, because you from a culture where kids are not supposed to talk back, but give them that space, because that's what gives them the ability to be able to stand up for themselves when they're bullied out there. They're able to speak and express themselves very clearly. So a few tips there and advice to the fathers. So those are two that I can say, being just awareness. But one last one, very quick. There are resources out there. My wife is a keen listener to Focus on the Family. It's a podcast that is usually live on radio. You can listen to it when you're driving to work in the morning, 1 hour drive. You can just listen to, and there's a lot of information about parenting, about looking after your family. So it is something that you can glean. There's books that you can read, and you can prepare yourself in an environment like this.
Amazing. That actually leads me to my quick question. This one will be a quick one. We can actually go quickly on this one. But I want to
Yeah.
understand, as a father, is there challenges
Mm,
that you meet as a father? And
mm,
how maybe have you overcome such challenges, or how can someone overcome or not
yeah.
even get there? If you tell them how not to go get in a hole, then someone won't even actually go and get in the hole. So maybe a quick few challenges
Yeah.
overall, general challenges that maybe fathers do go through. Steve.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter. Our challenges, I think, there are many, and we could never even exhaust them. But one of the ones that comes to mind straight away is just striking the right balance. Like we said, considering yourself like you are the project manager, there is a lot that you're juggling. You're juggling career, you're juggling family, you're juggling extended family, you're juggling this, you're juggling that, and and it differs for every season. The season when kids are young, season when they're middle aged. So you really need to find a way of finding the right balance. And the tip for that is just to constantly evaluate where you are. As a good PM does, constant communication. Keep evaluating what's really happening. Have your spouse in there. Another major challenge is just managing the transition. It's good to know when your child is actually when your kids are growing up and they began to express themselves. We get caught up unawares. We realize, oh, what was that? And you before you realize your child is actually becoming grown, and you can get caught unawares if you're not managing that transition very well. So I would say, those are just to mention. Apologizing to our children or to our spouses, that's a big challenge for fathers because they are not used to really saying sorry. Pray for God's help if you can't, so that you learn to say sorry to you. If you have made a mistake, say sorry. It's hard, Peter, but say sorry. Yeah,
I like the part that, if you can't really say sorry, I think
yeah,
you need to find it in you to just apologize, because that is maybe the only way that is holding, between
absolutely.
you and the kids and a good family. And to the next question, which really
Yeah,
actually you alluded to that question, how can a father
yeah,
be more visible, to their
yeah,
family or to their children's lives? Because sometimes we
yeah,
have absentee fathers. Yes, they're there, but they're actually
yeah.
absent. How can a father be more, visible, Steve?
Oh, Peter, it is we especially now because of the way the world has changed. We are constantly being bombarded with a lot of information. We have got technology to distract us all the time, or to actually not just distract, to actually occupy us all the time. And therefore, it is possible not just to actually be absent, and absent even emotionally. So I would actually say, a dad needs to actually be present physically and actually emotionally. I have an example of a former project manager that I worked for. And one day he went home and he was distracted. I think he was watching the TV. They had a young boy who was, I think, 2. And the wife looked at him and realized, wow, he has just come from work and he's not even concentrating. So he called him, excuse me, can you please be present? And when the little boy had present, he actually thought, oh, present? He actually thought that dad has come with a present. But the wife was actually saying, can you actually be here? Can you be present? He had to stop everything else and actually be there. Deliberately, actually, physically be present and emotionally be there, because you can be home, but you're not emotionally there. So be present. Now, another one, you have to really, and I think many fathers do this, but they got to do more of that. Get involved in your children's activities. I can say that, by God's grace, I have been to literally, my daughter played netball from maybe about grade 4 all the way about to year 11. So a good part of 6 or so years, I was in a netball game every Saturday, except during school holidays. And I'm proud of that I was actually there. I was actually present. I saw her blossom in that game. I saw her, achieve, and I was there to celebrate, her achievements. I have been the same with our son has played basketball. He's still playing basketball. I have been there. And be present, get involved, don't just get your friends to take your kids to the games. Be there, just be there and celebrate their winnings, because they do win and they do feel good when they win. They do feel really bad when they lose. Encourage them. It's not once I have had to encourage my son when they have lost a game that they really wanted to win, and I tell him, look, so it's just a game, and you win some and you lose some, and it's okay. So being there. One very important one, Pete, before I leave that question aside, is creating an environment where you can find out how they are really doing. That's a critical one. And for us, that has been the dinner table. You may not necessarily be there at the dinner table every day, but create, even if it's once a week. That's what we do now, because as they grow older, they got things, they got that, they got that. We created a day. This day is a day for dinner. We have to be there together. We will pray together. So creating that environment where you can actually really find out how they are really doing. That's being present for your kids. That's being present for your family, your wife, your spouse. And you get to you, when the guards are down, that's when you actually get to know what's really happening, beneath the surface. At the dinner table, when you're eating, when you're laughing, that's when the guards are a bit down. So those are some of the things that I would encourage fathers. Yeah.
Amazing. What wisdom is oozing out from you, Steve? And I'm privileged that you could actually share your time with us. And if you're watching out there, I'm sure you can attest and say that this has actually been a really great session for all the fathers out there. We can't have everything figured out, but if you have a wealth of network, a wealth of information, and people to help you, it actually becomes easier. So we're gonna take a quick break. If you're right there, you have a question, you wanna ask a question to Dr. Steven tonight, please write on the comment section, and I'm gonna try and send out those questions and ask the questions on your behalf. But also, if you wanna just send a shout out to your father, wherever he is, wish him a happy Father's Day. This is a Father's Day special, and we shall return after the break.
Hi guys, this is Nicky Boyd. I'm married to one wife and I'm a dad to one daughter, that is Nihal Chumba Boyd, and hopefully many more to come. I really want to answer this question of, what does being a father mean to me? Being a father is the most exciting thing that ever happened to me. Seeing my daughter since she was born, grow up, it's been the most amazing thing that ever happened to my life. Being a father means to protect, encourage, and nurture my children. My encouragement today to all the fathers in the world is love your family and your children. Protect them and spend most of your time with them. It's the precious gift that you can give to them. That is time, commitment, and love. A father should be celebrated in a special way. Since he is the king of the family, they should be adored, loved, and respected. I finally want to take this chance to wish a happy Father's Day to my dad. I want to wish him the best in life, that is good health, wisdom, and joy. I also wish myself a happy Father's Day and all the other fathers in the world. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Dad,
Yeah.
you do know that it's Father's Day on Sunday, right?
I know.
So I have some questions for you.
Make them easy questions.
Yeah, they're pretty easy.
Fast, I want to cook for my children.
Okay, so firstly, what does being a father mean to you?
Being a father,
Yes.
I think being a father is not just, you cannot explain being a father with one sentence. I think being a father is a combination of so many things. It's not about having a big beard or being a bald head or having a big tummy like mine. I think being a father is a job that is given by God to men. To protect, to nurture, to educate, to advise, and to bring up a good nation, God-fearing nation. Answer?
Yeah.
Okay, next.
So secondly, how do you feel being a father?
How I feel being a father?
Yes.
Oh man, I'm proud of being a father. That's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm one of those people who became a father when I was a very young man. And I have no regrets. It's the most beautiful thing ever. The first time I held my son, nakumbuka, I was a very young man. I cried. Nililia, like, this little thing looks like me. Kanafanana na mimi, poor. And then I got the second one, and I feel proud of being a father.
Yeah.
Those
So-
are easy questions. Another one?
So thirdly, what is the one word you would associate with being a father?
A father is a gladiator, gladiator, a protector,
Yeah.
a fighter. You being a father, you cannot be soft in this life. You have to be strong. You protect your family. Whatever happens, your family comes first. God comes first. The second thing is your family. Protect your family. Everything that happens around you should be, is your family okay? Wamekula, wamelala, do they have a roof on their heads? Are they having good education? That's a gladiator. Simple word for a father. Another simple one. Ama umemaliza?
So now I'm
Okay.
not done. So fourthly, A word of encouragement to fathers out there.
Oh, have many words, not just one, have many words. You know, fathers, we are going through so much these days. Whatever, it doesn't matter where you live, whether in America, or in Moranga, you are in Maragua, wherever you are in Australia, you're going through stuff. Bringing up children in this generation of mamboyas, whatever you call it, information, technology, and all that. You know, living in a world where there is minimal of supply, and you have, as a father, you have to make sure that everyone is comfortable. So, as fathers, the only thing we can do is be positive with whatever we are doing in life, pray harder, let our lives be directed by the Bible. Let's be more prayerful. Read the Bible more. Let the Bible direct you on how to bring up your family. That's the words. I have so many, but those are the few words I'll give to the family, to the fathers. Put God first.
How should a father be celebrated?
How should a father be celebrated?
Yes.
A father should be bought a Mercedes Benz of his choice.
How?
Huh?
Really?
Yes. Mine will be Mercedes E300. The make should be 2021. Let us start here 22. And then give them a lot of meat. But more so, if you want to celebrate your father, pray for him more. That's the best way of celebrating your father. Umuombea zaidi.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes. But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Well, utatoa nyama mingi aje huko na I haufai kuchoma huku.
Kuchoma nyama?
Eh.
Wait until. You don't worry. When later, stop denying me my gifts as a father. Nitafutie wewe uone nyama weke hapa. Uone kama sitachoma au choma it.
So, lastly, wish your dad and other men out there a happy Father's Day.
Unfortunately, Guga, my dad died 17 years ago. You know that.
Yeah.
But I wish him well. He was a man of God. I know he's watching over us and he's praying for us every day. But for all those fathers in the world, I wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Have a blessed day. Kama utaweza kununuliwa Mercedes Benz, appreciate the little that your family will get for you. Provided they give you a lot of love and pray for you. I wish you all the best. Happy Father's Day and God bless you. I salute you all. Barikiweni sana.
Thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in and everybody who's been with us. It has just been an amazing conversation tonight, and I like the break videos and the small nuggets which are coming out there. I hope you're actually getting the nuggets out there. It's not about the gift, but it's about the heart. And also pray for your fathers as well, because they have a very vital role just to direct the family, and also a huge responsibility for the next generation. We're going to continue with this great conversation with Dr. Stephen, and where we left on a very good point. And I want us to understand as well, because sometimes you think fathers have got everything, figured out. So I want us to go to the next question, Dr. Stephen, and just understand, does a father have a low moment? Do fathers have those low moments?
I think the answer is absolutely. And I think there's no father out there who hasn't gone through a very low moment. And the experience will vary, but there's several causes for all these low moments that fathers do experience. And I think the biggest one is where a father feels like they have failed to be a good father, or they have failed to be a good husband. That really impacts them, and sometimes it's just in the mind, because maybe sometimes he's just comparing himself and seeing those around him and seeing how good job that they have done, but he hasn't seemed to have done a similar good job, and it really hits him hard, and he really feels quite low. That is a major cause of those very low moments. And another one, which is maybe another big one, is when a father loses a job, job loss. It can make him feel as if he can no longer provide. Like we said, what's the biggest one of the role and responsibility of a father is to actually provide for his family. And when he loses his income, he feels like he can no longer provide for his family, and that really works on him. And sometimes there are dads that have stayed for for a month, for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years before they have been able to get another income. And really, it works on them. It really takes them to that low, and I would call it even a dark place. So those are places, those are areas of things that can make a dad have some very, very low moments. Another one that also comes to mind is, there's sometimes when, being like a project manager, he has to make decisions, right? And there are all sorts of decisions. Like I said, it's from purchasing to where you're going to live, to this, to which schools and all that. And there are sometimes when those decisions go wrong. And when they go wrong, just like the bat stops with the project manager, it stops with the father. It's like, you get the fingers pointing towards you by not just the family itself, but also the friends around you, the extended family, and that really hits a dad really hard. And it's a big one, and it does happen all the time. Or when, which is another one, when especially in this, when we're coming from Africa, where kids really, really listen to their dads. Dad said it happened. You hear dad says it doesn't happen, or it feels as if the kids are not actually heeding to that advice. And especially as they grow older into their teenage and into their adulthood, where you really think they should be listening, and when they fail to listen to you, and you really think you're right, uh, that can really impact you, because you don't know what to do. You try to trace back, where did you fail, at what point did they stop listening to you? So these are just pointers to what takes a dad to a dark place, low moment. Sometimes all the way to a mental breakdown. It does happen. It does happen to fathers out there. It has happened to many. So a place to really watch out. Yeah.
And with this, because with the low moments comes mental,
Yeah.
mental breakdown, mental illness. And
Mm,
how can fathers maybe try and avoid, or how can
mm,
fathers get themselves out of a mental breakdown? Because if you're not functioning mentally, sometimes it's really
yeah.
hard to be a project manager. So what are some of those
Exactly.
tips that maybe a father can, use to help himself to get himself out of a low moment?
And look, and I would start with the very extreme side, because how can we, because if all these things have come and they have all come together, you could be going through multiple of those things that I've outlined there. And therefore you already find yourself, you're not just having a low moment, you're actually on the other extreme now. You actually a mental health issue. I would actually say this: if you are at that point as a dad, you should seek help. You should seek help from people that are actually trained to tackle that. There are many, many who are in the mental health field, even within your own friends, within your own peers. You can find a lot of them there. Seek help. Men never seek help, because I heard in one of the videos that he played, the gladiator. They are supposed to be the gladiator. They kill everyone around. They are supermen. They don't fail, right? No, they do fail, and they do fail so bad. So seek help if you're already in that space. And I think I'm sure there are many, many, many resources and many people can, you can be pointed towards, even through your podcast here. I'm sure you'd be able to point people to areas of help. But so that you don't get to that point, to that extreme, I started with the extreme end. you know it is good to number one, to be well connected. If you're well connected with friends and you're well connected with family, that means that these conversations will be coming up. Issues about family, issues about job loss, issues about decisions, you'll be discussing this with friends and with family, and in the process, a burden that is shared is a burden half solved, just because you've talked to someone else, even if they did not really solve your problem. But the fact that they listen to you, that's a problem already half solved. So connecting with friends and family is critical. But I would also encourage that, have at least two. I would say, I'm sure there are many who really make good friends, but have at least two very close friends that you can really catch up regularly, people that really know you to the core. You might not have 10 people that know you to the core. As I said, as a believer, I take the example of Jesus Christ. He had 12 disciples, but among them, he had one that he really loved, that his name was John. And then he had the three that were in the inner core. I think that was Peter, that was John, and I think that Peter and John were always in the inner core, and I think it was James. So the inner core, they knew he would tell them the very deep things. I'm going out to pray, and they would actually accompany him to go and pray. And then there was the rest of the people. So have people that you can actually really tell what's really going on, and it does help to get connected, and you catch up with them regularly, like a check. I'm just checking, you know and you don't even necessarily have to tell each other, I'm just checking on you, but have that regular catch up with them, very close, two, at least two. Some may have more, but have at least two that you can catch up regularly. And of course, without any doubt, the usual preventative mental health remedies that we know about. Regular exercises, we know that's a good remedy for mental health, so that you keep yourself away. Establishing routines and disciplines that you can keep. Get a hobby. My wife reminds me all the time, you need hobby. You need to have a hobby, something that you look forward to, something that you enjoy, something that is nice. You know, do those things that are already out there in the public domain, of ensuring that you're looking after your mental health. Yeah.
So just quick question for Steve. Have you got that hobby?
I do. I do watch a good movie. That's not considered a hobby, but I do like driving. I do regular exercise. I go for walks. I don't have a one major hobby that I can say, oh, I do this, I do that, but I maintain some of those. I regularly walk. I have some disciplines and routines that I keep myself, but I do exercise just like everyone else out there.
Awesome. So if you have a question
Yeah.
out there, please write the questions down there. But I have two questions for Dr. Stephen before
Mm,
we go to final remarks and maybe a few things. But one question
yeah.
that I want to really ask for people who are maybe fathers to be or want to be fathers, you've been,
Mm,
we read that your daughter is about 24 years,
yeah.
and a
Yeah.
17-year-old boy. For all
Mm,
those years as a parent, how do you
mm.
feel as a father? How do you feel all those years and now? How do you feel as a father?
Oh, look, I feel good. I feel that I have done a great job under some, difficult circumstances. I have navigated fatherhood across three different continents, and it's challenging to be able to help kids adapt from one continent to another. I think our daughter specifically, she has been to so many schools. It's not funny. Uh, it's real, but in the process, she has been able to adapt. She quickly adapts to any environment very, very quickly. While our son, on the other hand, he has been to the same school that he was in prep. He's in year 12 now. So I would say that I have enjoyed the journey. I have enjoyed the challenge. The kids have been loving. My spouse lady has been great. I have enjoyed fatherhood. I can see that my kids are growing up well. They're growing up well mannered. They're stable, and they're continuing to achieve, and to go for the goals, and to go for the things that they want to do in life. So I would say that I feel good. I know that God has really helped me, given me a lot of wisdom. Uh, I can't say that I've not made mistakes. There are many things that that I have not done well. Maybe sometimes I have been a bit too hard, and because of the African in me. Maybe I have. It has taken me a while to really shed off that African man within me. But by the grace of God, and I'm sure that my children can say that. He has been a good dad. He has provided for us. He has taken care of us. He's protected us. He has given us guidance. And I would say I feel good as a dad.
Amazing. So there's a reward at
Mm.
the end. Just you
Oh,
see you see the fruits
absolutely.
of being a father.
Indeed, indeed. And some of the things, you might think that some things that you're doing are really, are really bad. But you get surprised sometimes to just hear your child speaking about something that you thought is something really bad that you've been doing, but it has actually taught them and brought some positive aspects within them. Our son recently wrote an article in school that was really, really made, it was celebrated by the school teachers about spanking. I could not believe because he has had one or two spankings in life, and I thought, wow, spanking is not popular now. But he wrote something so positive about it, and I was like, wow, I could never have dreamt that something that I thought I was doing maybe wrong has brought us some interesting thoughts and some interesting content and as an interesting perspective in the way he perceives something. So there's something that are positive. You get surprised along the
And
journey.
and my last question before we go to final remarks as we wind up,
Yeah,
conflict resolution as a
yeah,
father. What are
mm,
maybe some of the tips? Because you conflict comes in many ways between
yeah,
a father and children and a
yeah,
father
yeah,
and maybe your wife. So as a
mm,
father, all those years, what are
yeah.
some of the tips you might give someone out there, maybe mostly conflict resolution in a family?
Yeah, look, and this is an interesting one, and I have been asked this question, some time before, and you know, and it changes with the season. When we were very young, we were told, when we were being counseled about marriage, we were told, look, you got to discuss everything. You got to get everything and resolve it, and then you can be able to move on. So when we were newly married, every little thing I would bring it to the table. Let's discuss this, and I could not sleep until it was resolved. My wife, on the other hand, no, I cannot talk about this until I have had some time to think about it. And there it was. So, while it was not, bad advice, sometimes it works to resolve every conflict as it comes. But what I have learned from experience is that choose what conflicts you're going to really bring to the table for a discussion, for resolutions. There are those that you just, these days I normally say that's water under the bridge, that's gone. I do not fight for that particular point. I'll let it go. So I have decided to prioritize what I'm going to resolve and what I'm not going to resolve. One, I'll just let it die, and a major one will bring it to the table. So that's my advice. Don't try to fight and resolve every conflict, but look for the major ones. Definitely sit at the dinner table and actually have a discussion. A quick example, Pete. When I wanted to, at some point I went to Canberra and I was to take my family to Canberra. So I went first, and then my family was to actually follow me later. So, but we went to the dinner table, and I had already gotten a job. I said, now we're going to Canberra, aren't we? My son said, no, we're not. And it's like, yeah. I asked my daughter, are we going to Canberra? She said, no, I'm not going to Canberra. Got friends here, I'm staying. Then my wife was much more pragmatic. Are we going to Canberra? She said, let's evaluate it now. Then after about a month, we look at it again. So it was, you got to gradually resolve the conflict. There was a crash right there, but we slowly, resolved it. And you sometimes allow your family to win if it's good for the good of the family. You are the project manager. You are the one that is managing all this. If every stakeholder within the project is not on board, don't proceed with it. It will not end well. Don't just stamp the table and say it's happening. No, it's not gonna happen well. So resolve conflict, resolve them slowly, get your spouse, get your children on board, and some just let them pass, just resolve the difficult one.
Amazing.
That's my
Words of wisdom right there. I said
yeah,
words of wisdom coming out. So for everybody who's
yeah,
watching tonight and people who are gonna watch later on, please listen in and take what is beneficial to you. What can work for you,
mm,
please utilize and use it.
absolutely.
So
Mm,
for tonight, as we end up, because I can't see any questions, but thank you so much for everybody who's been watching and those who's gonna
mm.
watch this video more times to come. I just wanted to hear your final remarks, maybe on any topic. I just want to hear your final remarks and your closing remarks for tonight. Dr. Steve, over to you.
Thank you so much, Pete. My final remarks. the first thing I want to say is that, to all dads out there, both, here, overseas, wherever they may be tuning in, I would like to say, well done. We celebrate you, Dad, because you're doing a very, very great job. You're steering a very, very tight ship under some very difficult circumstances. So, really, really well done. I would like to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing and even more, and to remind you that you are not alone in this journey. There are many fathers that are going through whatever you're going through with you, and therefore you are not alone. You can seek help. Remember to pray, and remember to ask God for wisdom, for knowledge, for understanding, and for help when it does get tough. So it is a very, very happy Father's Day for all the fathers out there, and you'll be celebrated. You'll be celebrated by your family, including the children. And I would encourage wives of young children, encourage your children to actually celebrate the dads, and to say some good words, just like we celebrate a birthday and we say good things about the person whose day is being celebrated. Celebrate Father's Day and say good things about your dad. My wife told me something very interesting today. She was teaching Swahili, and the kids told her, can you tell me what it means in Swahili to say, uh, uh, Dad, I am so happy that you married my mom. Can you imagine a child wanting to say that to her? I'm so happy that you married my mom. Get them to express what it means for them, for a dad, how to celebrate their dad. So we celebrate you, dads, and really a very, very happy Father's Day to you all.
Thank you, Steve. And just to wind up, the last question for the night:
Yeah.
how should we celebrate you as a father?
Oh, and I think I alluded to that. How do you celebrate someone's birthday? You gather together as a family. You say some very nice good words about the person. You cut a cake, you eat together, and you thank God for the time that they have lived, and you wish them well for the future. That's exactly how I would like to be celebrated, and I'm sure that's exactly how a dad would like to be celebrated. Gather together, the family together, and say some very nice words about that you're doing a good job. you know Eat together, whatever that is, whether it's breakfast together somewhere, or you go out for dinner or for lunch in a nice fancy restaurant, or in just an ordinary restaurant, or even takeaway, but have a time together to thank God and to celebrate the dad, and then to wish, I would like to be wished well for the times that are ahead, because I know that this ship is still in the water. It's still navigating, and I would like strength and wisdom to be able to continue navigating. So that's how I would like to be celebrated.
This is in Juguna and your daughter right there. I'm sure they'll be watching. Please make sure you cut a cake for dad. We celebrate
Indeed.
you, Steve. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
tonight. A very happy
Indeed.
Father's Day to you. A very happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I want to say thank you
Indeed.
for taking the time to watch and also to just support us in this journey. And to you, Steve, we want to say, may God bless you. We wish you well for the journey ahead, and God is going to guide you and is going to go ahead of you. And from the Connect, we say, we are greatly humbled. Thank you so much, Steve. And
Thank you so
to
much.
all
Really
to
appreciate it.
all our viewers right there out there, thank you so much. I want to finish with a few tips or nuggets that I picked up from the last video that I'm gonna run. I just hope that you're gonna take time to enjoy and just take your father somewhere. Just call him, give him a call, just say Happy Father's Day, Dad, or wish him well. And also just remember that it's the thought that counts. It's not the big cars, it's not the big gifts, but from the heart. The gift that comes from the heart, that's what that matters. We celebrate you fathers out there, and I wish you all the best. Until the next time, I'm just gonna leave it there. We have one more clip to go. Please watch this clip and pick up a few nuggets, and it's gonna help you towards this journey of fatherhood.
Take two, Father's Day 2022. What does being a father mean to me? I'd probably say for me, being a father means understanding priorities and the necessity of modeling a good character. Does this mean being perfect? Far from it. I believe it is important that as fathers, we balance discipline or standards with grace, truth with love. Yeah. How do I feel about being a father? I think it's a feeling of intense love, self-giving, acceptance. At the time of this recording, we're expecting our third child, and get a deep sense of being transformed almost spiritually every time. It is also tangible and real. The keen awareness that the next generation of fathers it will be influenced and impacted by the choices that I make. Yeah. One word that I would associate with being a father, I'd say intentional. Being intentional in key areas like availability, being present, and that goes a long way even in career choice and the types of vocational things that we do for income, how much time we're going to be away. So it's really critical, and I know it's not ideal, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do depending on the circumstance, but I think being present, loving my wife and children, being fair, gracious, patient, patient, providing and protecting our families. I think intentionality is a key thing. A word of encouragement to fathers out there. I'd say for all fathers who are working hard to ensure that the best path possible becomes available for their children, I'll probably say that well done, keep going. Even when things don't turn out as expected, try to maintain that stability and the sense of security that a father provides. I think personally, growing up, I think that was something that I experienced, and it was really good. Sometimes we realize that we have made a mistake, or possibly we've taken the wrong exit. I think it's important to find our way back on the path and just pursue being well and being healthy spiritually, mentally, physically, intellectually, financially, relationally. I think a problem shared is a problem half solved, and it's good to have a support structure, men that you can trust, you can talk to for some issues when things get thick, and things might become a bit easier. How can a father be celebrated? I think by appreciating the unique and diverse perspective fathers bring to parenting, having fun, their contribution to raising healthy children and become eventually members of society. I think recognition for everything fathers such as my own father have done, and honoring the sacrifices they make for their families daily. I think that's important. I think it's a critical way of celebrating them. Finally, I'd like to wish all fathers and my father and all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day. And something that my father used to mention while I was growing up, I remember from Psalm 1, that a good person, and you can substitute that with a good father, is intentional in leaving a legacy by leading a life of integrity in the company they keep and in things that they do, choices they make, especially in service of others, making increasingly better decisions that will compound over time. And I'd like to wish all fathers, present and future, a happy Father's Day. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Peter. I'm a first-time dad, and what it means to me being a father, it has actually really dawned on me now, because growing up, I lost my dad when I was at a very young age. So it really didn't occur to me the responsibility that comes with a father. So for me, what it means to me is responsibility. God has given you a responsibility for another life and for another generation. That's actually a very huge responsibility. And one word, I think that accompanies that, who's a father. One word, who's a father, is sacrifice. a father lives a very sacrificial life. I remember a story I was told of a son and a dad, that he used to see his dad sleeping on the sofa and could not tell why for a very long time, until when he could have that conversation with the father. And then once he asked the father, why do you normally sleep on the couch? So the reason was because the father was actually giving up his own room so that the other kids can occupy the house, since they had a small house. So a father is someone who sacrifices his own life for his children, like our Father, our Heavenly Father, who did the same, sacrificed his own son for us to gain eternity. So I think an encouragement to the fathers out there, you can do it. I think you just need to look at the right places, have the right network, occupy yourself with right men who can actually encourage you to go through this life together, and also look up and also remember that God is our Heavenly Father, and God is actually the beginner of fatherhood. So if you want to have a manuscript, or just to know how fatherhood is, just go and read the Bible and talk to your Father, Heavenly Father. And to all the dads out there, I just want to wish you a happy Father's Day, and the fathers to be, and may you enjoy. And lastly, how should a man be celebrated? Wow, that's a very tough question, because men actually have very expensive tastes. Our wives could attest. And I think men should just be given a day to just go out, just chill with the family, because at the end of the day, I think the father ends up paying, but I'm just saying. But fathers should be celebrated in all ways. Just take them out, pray for them as well, and also give them an easier time as they try to lead and offer direction as God leads them as well. And to all the fathers, we celebrate you today from the Konekt, and from all of us here, we say Happy Father's Day, enjoy, and we shall see you in the next one.